For years, the grand mansion of Ethan Blake, a cold and successful millionaire, echoed not with laughter but with chaos. After losing his wife in a tragic accident, Ethan was left alone to raise his 4 mischievous quadruplet sons, Liam, Noah, Oliver, and Lucas. They were bright but broken, playful yet angry at a world that took their mother too soon. Every nanny that came to care for them left within days, some in tears, others in frustration. "They're impossible," they'd say, as the boys pulled pranks, shouted, and refused to listen. Ethan, buried in his work and grief, had given up hope. Until one quiet morning, a young woman named Grace knocked on the mansion door. She wasn't dressed in fancy clothes, her shoes were worn, and her smile was simple, but there was something in her eyes, warmth, strength, and a kind of peace Ethan hadn't seen in years. When she first met the boys, they didn't even look at her. They were used to adults walking away. But instead of scolding or forcing them to behave, Grace knelt to their level, looked each of them in the eye, and said softly, "I know what it's like to miss someone you love." The boys froze. No nanny had ever spoken to them like that. That night, for the first time in years, they sat down together for dinner. Grace cooked simple spaghetti, and though the boys refused to eat at first, she started telling them a story about a brave knight who lost his queen but kept fighting to protect his kingdom. Slowly, their little eyes lit up. They took a bite, then another. And by the end of her story, they were smiling. Watching from the doorway, Ethan was speechless. The woman had done what no one could, she made them laugh again. Over the next few weeks, the impossible began to happen. The boys started waking up early to help her cook breakfast. They played in the garden instead of fighting. Grace taught them small lessons about kindness and courage through little games, and every night, she told them a bedtime story that ended with hope. Ethan watched the transformation unfold like a miracle. For the first time, the house felt alive. One evening, he walked into the kitchen and saw Grace helping the boys bake cookies, their faces covered in flour, laughter filling the air. Something in his heart softened. He realized it wasn't just the boys who were healing, it was him too. But then, as all good things face a test, an accident happened. One of the boys, Lucas, fell while climbing the treehouse and was rushed to the hospital. Ethan panicked, blaming himself, but Grace held his hand and said, "They don't need a perfect father. They just need you to be there." Her words hit him deeper than any business deal or success ever had. When Lucas woke up, the first person he asked for was Miss Grace. At that moment, Ethan knew she wasn't just a nanny. She was the light they'd all been waiting for. Months passed, and the once cold mansion became a home again. On the anniversary of his wife's death, Ethan found Grace sitting with the boys, showing them a scrapbook she made, pictures of their smiles, their drawings, and little notes of gratitude. "We're a family now," she whispered. Ethan's eyes filled with tears, not of pain but of peace. For the first time, he felt his wife would be proud. One night, as they stood by the fireplace, Ethan finally said what had been in his heart, "Grace, you didn't just care for my sons, you brought them back to life." She smiled softly and replied, "No, Ethan. They just needed someone to believe in them again." From that day on, Grace wasn't just their nanny, she became part of their story. The boys grew happier, stronger, and every night they said a prayer thanking God for Miss Grace. And though Ethan was a man who once measured life by money and success, he learned the greatest riches are found in love, laughter, and family. Sometimes, angels don't have wings, they walk in quietly, with kind eyes and a heart full of hope. And if you believe that miracles still happen, remember Grace's story, because she did the impossible. She healed 4 broken hearts and 1 lonely soul. So, if this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, because every story we share reminds us that kindness still changes the world.